Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Jason, and here I talk about all things story. And the story I am talking about today is All Systems Red, the novella by Martha Wells. It is book one in the Murderbot series, which has won, I believe, multiple Hugos. I know this one won a Hugo for Best Novella, and I believe her latest novel in the series won a Hugo. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Full disclosure, I attempted to read this book some time ago when it came out and just wasn't really interested. It didn't grab me, and so I gave up. And on that note, I think I will sum up my review very quickly here. However, I'm going to explain it in detail, as much detail as I possibly can, to hopefully convince you of my stance on this novel anyway. I can sum this novel up being quite possibly the most joyless reading experience I have had in a long time. And I can already see you closing the video down, telling me I'm an idiot. You're probably writing nasty comments already. But anyway, let me explain myself. Yes, the book has won prestigious awards. Yes, there are over 11,000 very high reviews on Amazon. I believe it averages over 4.5 stars. So why didn't I like it? Well, what's my problem, right? Well, let's talk about the hook. Let's talk about first what this book is about. So this is a sci-fi novel. It takes place in the future, of course. There is a group of scientists on an expedition on an alien planet, and they are paired with a security bot or security unit. Yeah, sec unit, that's what they're called. Being our Murderbot. That is what the robot refers to itself as, is because of its skills in murder, allegedly. But this robot is out there to protect this expedition and the people on it. And this our protagonist, our main character, this Murderbot, discovers anomalies in some of the information, and they go out and investigate, and needless to say, it ends up to be a plot of nefarious implications where there's action, there is death, there is betrayal. Sounds interesting, sounds fun, sounds like a cool concept. I should add also that the Murderbot is completely obsessed with serials or soap operas or serialized TV. And another key thing to know about is that there's a governor module in it, which essentially keeps it from sort of betraying its human overlords. But this module and this one in particular has been hacked, so we have somewhat of a quote unquote murder bot with agency. But anyway, let us begin with character, my favorite topic, and again, the weakest part of this entire novel. This novel is told in first person from the perspective of our murder bot, which is risky. It's a risky move, and I believe that is probably the biggest reason why this entire novel failed for me. The Murderbot, I think is trying to be funny. I think the author is trying to make this Murderbot funny. There's a few lines in there that indicate that. However, I didn't find any of the humor funny whatsoever. And I know humor, I've said this in other reviews, humor is a very subjective thing. And I saw some reviews on Amazon where people found themselves laughing out loud. I did not laugh out loud once. I was kind of angry and frustrated a lot of the time while reading this novel, just because I kept wanting it to be good. I kept wanting to be taken in by this world and these characters, but alas, it didn't happen. So I'll talk about this more in the writing section because I think it relates to that. But we never really care about this Murderbot. It's kind of a vanilla character, which is unfortunate because I think with artificial intelligences, you can have a lot of fun. Think of Ex Machina, right? We have Ava, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. You empathize with her. She's imprisoned. She seems like a very sweet person, a sweet personality, only to find out that it was all an act. She betrays her creators and turns out to be this very selfish entity. Or you have something like Clara from Clara and the Sun, which was a fantastic novel if you would like to read something with a great execution of AI from a first-person perspective. That is the one you should be reading. In that novel, Clara is a child robot. She's a companion to a young girl, and we experience the world through her eyes, and it's very innocent. She's not completely human. She's very advanced. I know I'm going everywhere. I'm all over the place with this, but I think what you want to do with artificial intelligence is you want to use them. I think there's a couple of different ways you can use them successfully, especially if you're doing it through their POV. One is innocence, because they are, even though they are trying to achieve humanity or or we are trying to make them human. There's something missing there. There's the nuance of humanity, right? And so I think there's irony there, and that's what's powerful with that kind of point of view. You have this artificial intelligence looking at the world in a very objective way, even though they're trying to be subjective, and they're pointing out things that maybe we don't quite notice because we view things so subjectively. Therein lies the irony. Therein lies us going, oh, that's interesting. I really care about this character. I find them interesting. I want to know what they're going to perceive next, right? That is how you do it. Comedy is another way. I don't know that I've ever read a novel from an AI's perspective that has been very funny. A secondary character, you can think of someone like C-3PO, right? He's kind of this bumbling idiot, you know. That's one way to do it. Isaac Asimov, obviously a master at doing it. He kind of goes more the innocent route, I believe, where we're perceiving the world through an objective lens, through a lens, I might add, through a psyche that cannot harm humans whatsoever. And so we're kind of reflecting on our own humanity from these creations. So innocence, irony, I think those are the most powerful ways you can have a POV with artificial intelligence. We don't have that here. We do have comedy, or attempted comedy, I believe, as I mentioned earlier on. And I do note that as being sort of one of my personal tenets of how to write artificial intelligence. Usually it's irony through comedy. I think that's the best way to go about it. But in this book, we just have random quips from this Murderbot that seem like they're trying to be funny. I don't think they really speak anything about character, or they don't really help us get into the mind of this robot and feel for this robot. So, all right, I will stop talking about the AI, the protagonist for now anyway, and let's talk about the other characters. So we have all of these doctors on this expedition protected by this Murderbot, and they are empty vessels that spew words. That's the best way I can say it. There is no empathy to be had for any of these characters. There's nothing quirky about them. There's nothing interesting about them. They don't feel like they have any traumas that we want to latch onto and understand how they cope with those things. None of that is here. None of it at all. So I will leave it at that. That is my rant on character and artificial intelligences. Let's talk about the plot. So the plot, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't like spoiling things in reviews unless I do it toward the end, and I'll let you know I'm going to do it. The plot isn't terrible. It's not entirely unique, but it is the way in which we are given the information, and that is from our Murderbot's perspective in a very journal-like fashion. And it's one of the biggest problems I had with the novel The Martian by Andy Weir. Everyone over it. They loved it. They loved all of the detail. My problem is because while I appreciate the scientific detail he went into that novel, it doesn't matter to me. It's all about character. And sure, Mark Watney was a wisecracking guy. There were some funny moments, I guess you could say, in the novel. But because we were ingesting all of this information through journal entries, there was no tension. There was no, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Because they're all journal entries. And essentially that's what this is, right? We're getting a lot of information by means of a very utilitarian, boring prose. Let us move on to that, because I think that's, again, another part of the issue I had with this, or issues I have with this novel, is the writing itself, or as I like to call it, the cinematography. As I mentioned, first person, from this Murderbot's perspective. It is relayed to us in a very journal-like fashion, a very matter-of-fact fashion, with sobering attempts at humor. Yeah, very unfunny stuff, where I think, getting inside the head of an AI, seeing the world through its eyes, is a great opportunity to have a commentary on what it is like to, what are the implications of creating an entity that is as smart or smarter than humans? How do they perceive the world? Do they have emotions? Do they not? And speaking of emotions, I was trying to figure out what Martha Wells was trying to do with Murderbot. Was she trying to make it relatable in some way? Seemed like Murderbot was very human-like, right? They're making these jokes that aren't ignorant jokes from an artificial intelligence who has objective observations of the world, but it just sounded like another human. I didn't feel like there was anything uniquely robotic or alien to this character. And so let me talk about the beginning. So we have a hook scene, chapter 1, where we have the Murderbot saving a scientist, or scientists, I believe, from this alien entity on the planet. It's a massive creature of some kind, and you'd think that, wow, this would be an exciting scene to read. It is completely, utterly boring, because again, it is relayed to us in a very matter-of-fact way. There's poor use of white space, and I know I talk about white space in my other videos, but it's sort of a way to create pace on the page, right? You have one sentence, you have fragments of paragraphs that go, interspersed with larger paragraphs. That all paces things out, that sets the stage, that gives us a cinematic quality to the writing, and it's just not here at all. Again, it's just, oh, I picked up my gun, I took a shot, I got wounded, and then I grabbed this guy, and then this happened. And sometimes it's not even delivered in such a way where we can see it unfolding before our eyes. It's almost like someone is recounting details, summarizing something that should be impactful but is not because of the way in which they're describing it. So the writing, again, a huge failing of this, the style in which the writer chose to convey all of the events in this novel. And I know I've kind of been ranting, I know I've been kind of going off, but this is one of those novels to me that I don't understand how it gets such high praise, how it wins all of these awards, how it earns the love of these readers. Because I feel like, honestly, I've read a different book than everybody else. I kind of felt like that way with The Martian as well. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not an alien myself. I'm a human just like all of you out there. And I think it is an art to convey emotion and all of this stuff through the written word for the reader to ingest, and then let their imagination, take over for the rest of it. But it just doesn't work in this novel whatsoever. It is a novel and a series that I will never go back to. I can't imagine ever, if the rest of the series is written in such a way, I can't imagine myself enjoying it at all. So on that note, I'm going to have to give All Systems Red by Martha Wells a 2 out of 10. Yeah, a 2, the lowest score I've ever given a novel. Why didn't I give it a 1? Why didn't I give it a 0? Well, it is a story written somewhat coherently. So there's elements in the narrative. I feel like the plot itself is constructed good enough, right? It feels like a story, but poor characterization, terrible protagonist, writing that just does not put me in the headspace of the character. I can't even see the world, honestly. I can't tell you how many times I had to reread paragraphs because I was drifting. I was not engaged whatsoever. So yeah, I'm sorry. If you love this novel, please, or this novella, tell me in the comments, what did I miss? Why am I so disappointed with what I read? So sorry I got a little bit ranty. This one I have very strong opinions about from a storytelling standpoint. Being a writer myself, it's very frustrating to see novels like this get such high praise when I believe they are just missing, absent of so many important, very important things of writing craft. So I don't know what else to say. That's it. I didn't like it. I dare I say, hated it. But on that note, if you'd like to see me create and not critique, if you'd like to see some of my own stuff, my failings, my successes as well, they're all here. Check out my Worth 1,000 Words series where I write a 1,000-word short story inspired by a piece of artwork on the spot, no outline, and I do my best to try to tell a good story. However, I don't always, and you get to see those failings too. Also, check out my books in the description below. I have a new one out. It's called A Song for the End of the World. It's a post-apocalyptic story, book 1 in a trilogy, and I'm working on book 2 as we speak. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me for my rant. I hope you enjoyed the review. Give me a like if you did like it. Subscribe for story-related content, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.